Let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Jax complete guide. Now, I've done a tier list on patch 3.0, not yet for 3.0a. I will be doing that soon. However, personally, I don't really think Jax is the best champion on. Jax is sort of like a stat check slash stat stick kind of champion where his abilities are pretty simple and there is not a ton of skill expression, not a ton you can outplay. Of course, you can still do that, but not to a same degree like a champion like Kai'Sa, for example, where you have a lot more tools you can use to outplay people with. But anyways, Jax mainly is played either in the jungle or the Baron lane. Now, personally, I still think that Jax in the Baron lane is better than Jax in the jungle, and I'll explain why very briefly. So, Jax in the jungle is really good because you are a jungler and you can influence the entire map as the jungle. So if you're a good jungler and a good Jax player, you can get yourself fed and carry the game through that way. However, to me, Jax's best aspect is his split pushing potential, and generally the best time to be split pushing is when your team is on an objective. But if you're Jax Jungle, you can't do that because you are your team's smite, you have to be at the objective. So I do think Jax in the Baron lane is better just because he can split push while his team is doing objectives. But Jax Jungle kind of works as well. I recall, I think I put him in like the A tier if I'm not wrong for the jungle and the top lane, or might even be the B tier because I don't look that highly on it. So why am I playing Jax? Because simply put, I got destroyed by a Jax who went 15-0, and I was playing Kai'Sa and had a 4-0-1 start, and the Jax just got fed from every single other lane other than mine, came to my lane and just destroyed me because there's very little I can do against a Jax who is super duper fed because he is a stat stick who will just stat check you if he has more, more items, more gold, and more stats than you. So without further ado, we'll quickly go into the practice tool to cover what his skills and abilities do. And honestly, they are very simple because Jax is a very simple champion. Alrighty. So first up, we're going to talk about his leveling order. So generally, it depends on where you start. If you start in the jungle, you're going to want to take Q level 1. However, if you're starting in lane, you can actually go for E level 1 instead because your E will immune yourself to minion damage, which will, of course, allow you to trade with someone at level 1. But it kind of depends on what you're going for. If not, taking W at level 1 also works when you're going to the lane. Then level 2, generally you would take E in both the lane and the jungle, and level 3 you would take your Q. Alright, so first, oh, I accidentally reset level there, but first up you want to max your W, and I forgot to take out as usual. So you first max W, then you max E. Of course you take your alt whenever it is available, and lastly you max Q. Forgot to take out again, but yeah, so there we go. So we're first going to talk very briefly about Jax's passive, which is really very simple, as you guys can see. So first up, we're going to get over to our favorite spot over here. So we're going to put down an enemy dummy. And Jax's passive basically is whenever you attack, you gain attack speed. Each stat gives 3% attack speed. So here, as you guys can see, I'm slowly attacking faster. Now I'm at maximum stacks, which is 12. So I've gotten like 3 times 12 because it's 3 per stack, so that's like 36% extra attack speed like that. As you guys can see, after you stop being in combat, these stacks very quickly start dropping off. So now, attacking a champion gives 2 stacks. Attacking a minion also gives 2 stacks. However, attacking a jungle monster only gives 1 stack. So here, 1 stack, 1 stack, 1 stack. So sort of works like that. Attacking monsters only gives 1 stack. So here, 2 stacks. So that is his passive. Really easy, really simple. In fact, all of his skills and abilities are pretty simple. So his Q, it's a targeted ability, so you can jump to an enemy, is his main gap closer. So I'm going to actually put down the 0 cooldown. So you can jump to enemies, you can jump to monsters, and you can also, where is it? Ally dummy. You can also jump to allies, and you can also jump to ally minions, so you can use it to escape as well, so you can jump to allied minions and allied champions as well. Now, something to take note of is you cannot jump to wards. So in League PC, you can actually jump to wards. Over here, you cannot. However, what you can jump to is plants. So you can jump to plants like that. So that is something to take note that in case you didn't know, you can actually jump the plant. So if you're running away from, say, this guy, you're 1 HP, you can jump to the plant to quickly try to make your escape. Now his W, really simple. All it does is it empowers his next auto attack to do extra damage, extra magic damage at that. So it is an auto attack resetter, so a really good thing to do is auto W auto. So of course that will cause you to have the highest amount of DPS. Alright, so now his E. What his E does basically is, let me just aggro this guy so the minions will start attacking me. As you can see, all the minions will attack me. What happens when you press it is, okay, the minions stopped attacking me, but what happens when you press it is, you will immune all basic attacks from enemies and from minions as well. And you will also reduce damage from enemy abilities by 25%. Now, really hard to demonstrate this here because I don't really have anybody attacking me. But after the full channel duration, it will stun everybody around you. As you guys can see, stun the enemy Darius. And once again, stunning the target dummy. Now you can cancel it early to, of course, get the stun off faster. So sometimes you want to use this for damage reduction. Sometimes you just want to, like, for example, prep it, jump in, and instantly stun to trap your enemies over there. And it's all really simple as well. All it does is when you press it, you get this circular animation around him. And what it does is two things. Firstly, it gives you extra armor and magic resist. So obviously you pop it when you want to go for an all-in. The next thing it does is every third auto attack does bonus damage. So for example, you can see boom, bonus magic damage, boom, bonus magic damage, boom, bonus magic damage. So that is pretty much what it does. Jax is a really simple champion. So now we can quickly just get straight into his build, because his skills and leveling order is really just that simple. Alright, so into the Jax build. So here is the Jax build. Now the build is pretty much the same for both the barrel lane and the jungle. The first item you want to get is the Blade of the Rune King. Obviously Jax is a auto attack style champion, so you mainly get this for the 35% attack speed, as well as of course the physical vamp and the rest of the bells and jingles that come with the Blade of the Rune King as well. So obviously, in case you guys didn't know, Blade of the Rune King is way better on melee champions than ranged champions ever since they made a certain change to it like eons ago in patches. So really good item on Jax. Then you go to the Trinity Force because he's gonna be spamming his W a lot, and you can proc the Spell Blade of the Trinity Force a lot. And of course, this gives you all the stats that you want, in particular attack speed and ability haste. So basically, when you hit these two item power spikes, Jax is going to be really strong. Like here I have QSS, but that isn't always the way to go. So you can of course go for the two defensive options or the Gluttonous Greaves if you need to. But normally I tend to go for one of the defensive options. And for your enchant, you can go for a lot of different enchants. So first up, you can go for Stasis, of course, to, Stasis is always going to be useful. You can also go for the Righteous Glory enchant in order to actually get in range of the enemies to like leap strike to them, etc. And you can also go for Proto Belt for the same reasons. Of course, QSS if you need to. And you can also even go for Shadows enchant to catch up to them. And if you're playing Jax, especially in the Baron lane, the teleport is very useful as well to either join your team when they're in a fight and you're split pushing, or to teleport to a opposite side tower to start split pushing. So pretty much Jax can build nearly every enchant in the game. Now I actually forgot to mention something, that if you use your W, you can empower your next leap strike, which is your Q, to just trigger your W's damage. So hopefully that covering it here will hopefully you guys will know that as well, because I forgot to cover that at the skills part of the video. But yeah, so after you go for these two, you go for the Steric's Gauge. Now of course this will make you more tanky with the 400 extra health as well as the lifeline passive, but it also gives you 50% extra base AD. So this will make your attacks hurt way more. So this is both an offensive and defensive item at the same time, so really nice on Jax. And then as your final two items, you go for the Death's Dance, of course, for even more physical vamp, but mainly for the Cauterize passive to prevent yourself from getting insta bursted, because you can lifesteal a lot back from both the Death's Dance and the Blade of the Rune King, and with the attack speed from the Bork and the Trinity Force, you're going to be doing insane damage, you know, the longer you're in a fight because of how your passive works when you stack up attack speed. So sometimes it looks like you're going to die, but you just get so much attack speed from your passive that you just auto attack, and you lifesteal everything back together with a cauterized passive. And finally, of course, we go for the GA for the revive, just in case, you know, you die and you need to come back to life again. And pretty much this build is going to be the same for both the Baron lane as well as the jungle. Now, the runes will of course be a little bit different in the Baron lane and jungle, but you will go for Conqueror in both. Obviously, Jax stacks it really easily with his high attack speed. And then for the first one, you go for Brutal, just because it is going to improve your jungle clear. And as a matter of fact, if you're in the Baron lane, you normally go for Brutal as well. The other options you have are something like Triumph or Champion, but Triumph isn't really that reliable, and you're mostly split pushing, not fighting anyway. And Champion is a very risky rune, so generally I still go for Brutal in the Baron lane as well, just because I don't really need Hunter Vampirism, because I already have the Death's Dance as well as the Blade of the Rune King, so no need that much lifesteal. Now for the second one, you have actually pretty much everything here is an option. Now of course, Hunter Titan always going to be an option for mainly the tenacity. Bone Plating also an option for anti-burst. Second Wind actually also a very good option because you do regen health, and this improves his 1v1 a lot. And something else that improves his 1v1 a lot is Adaptive Carapace as well, which gives him a little bit of bonus health, as well as the armor and MR, which he might need. But personally, it's just a personal preference. And for the final one, for the Inspiration Rune, in the jungle you will go for Mastermind. Now, even though it got nerfed from 120 gold to 40 gold instead for taking or assisting in taking objectives, however, you still want to have the bonus true damage to epic monsters as well as to turrets, because Jax is a split pusher, and if you're playing Jax Jungle, you want the damage on monsters. Now, of course, in the jungle, your other option is Pathfinder, and when you're in the lane, obviously you go for Sweet Tooth for the health and the sustain. So, for your spells, if you're going for jungle, it's obvious it's Smite and Flash, but if you're going for lane, you can opt for either Barrier or Ignite, depending on whether you want to be more offensive or defensive. So it's pretty much up to you. So with that out of the way, we can move on to the gameplay. Alright, so here we have the gameplay. And as usual, if you guys are enjoying what you're watching so far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments below, and I will, of course, address them. Alright, so first up, just something very briefly. Obviously, I'm taking the Mastermind rune in this one, and this was the day before patch 3.0a release. So in this patch, me getting towers and objectives still grant me 120 gold and not 40 gold. But it does, of course, make a difference. But yeah, but you still take Mastermind anyway for the extra damage on monsters and towers. So here, as you guys can see, the Varus just got first blood before my buff even spawned. So really good start for my team. So as Jax, I generally like to start on red buff. In fact, on any jungler, I generally like to start on red buff, unless there's a particular reason why I want to do blue buff. For example, if I want to gank the red side lane, but even if you want to do that, you can start red side and do a full red side clear. So generally, I start red buff. Now, reason why I like starting red buff is because red buff has more combat stats than blue buff. It gives you the burn and the slow, whereas blue buff gives you like mana and health regeneration out of combat. So if you like run into an enemy jungle and like it's a red buff jungle versus a blue buff jungle, of course, that's assuming they're about even in terms of skirmish level, the red buff jungler will be at an advantage. So generally, just as a general jungle tip, I like just going for red buff. So here we transition into taking Raptors, and then now we're taking blue buff. Now Jax doesn't really have the fastest clear, so he can only do a 3 camp even with a leash before taking the skull. As you can see, I'm already a little bit late on the skulls. Here Nunu shows mid, so I know it's really safe for me to pick up the skull because he's obviously not going to contest. Here I make a very minor mistake of smiting the skull when I didn't actually need to, since Nunu obviously wasn't even coming here because we saw him in mid and he's going towards bot. So here I see the mid laner's trait kill, so I think it's pretty safe because I win 1v1 against Nunu. So I should have saved my smite here so that I could actually secure this, because over there I would have easily gotten it with the smite, but you know, I used it on my own skull crab, which wasn't actually necessary, and Riven actually turns up all the way on the rotations. I'm gonna have to back off. So here So far, didn't really get anything out of it, and Jax, as I mentioned plenty of times, is very farm heavy, which is also kind of part of the reason why Jax Jungle I don't fully recommend, because in lane, you're more guaranteed to get easier farm through minions or through tower plates, but Jax Jungle is sort of you have to gank and you have to try to farm your jungle as much as possible in between ganks. So here I see a skirmish coming on, I cancel my back, flash over, hop over to the Riven. I actually should have probably prepped the stun first, but here it doesn't really matter because Darius can finish off the kill. Here Nunu comes into a full stack Darius. Darius ults way too early. Nunu tries to flash away, but my leap strike comes back off cooldown and I secure the kill. Now, not the cleanest play there, but obviously I was in a hurry because I had to cancel my back, flash over, and then use the leap strike to gap close, but should have used the counter strike first, leap strike, and then reactivate counter strike to stun the Riven, and that would have secured the kill way easier. But either way, we did get a double kill out of that, so not the worst in the world, but not really the most clean. So here, the second rotation of my jungle camps is coming up. So here I can, of course, start at red since I just took Crux. I started red, I can take Raptors and path up towards top. Now, obviously, without my help, Ezreal is already 3-0, and mostly just because the Varus has kind of been feeding. He's 0-3, so top lane doesn't really actually need that much help at all. And I just got you know, Darius a kill. So here, that's kind of what you gotta do as your jungler. You either snowball your winning lane or you go to your non-winning lane and, you know, try to help them out. In this case, you know, I helped out the Darius. Ezreal is winning on his own, so top and bot are already winning. Now mid, Irelia also is a kill up on the Zed, so mid lane's doing well as well. Now here, I chose to go for the dragon because of the fact that Ezreal is fed. So honestly, as Jax, I normally want to go for the Herald because Herald is way more useful for pushing towers, and Jax, of course, is one of the best champions for pushing towers. So here, as you can see, I leap strike over to hit the blast code so that no one can get into the pit to try to steal, but it turns out Nunu is at the Rift Herald anyways, doesn't really matter, so I secure the dragon. That is definitely something you should always do, which is to, of course, disable the plan so there's no chance of a steal. So here, the Varus actually gets into my leap strike range, so I try to kill him over the wall, but nothing really happens. In the meantime, Nunu and Riven flanking behind us, so we do pick up the kill on Nunu and pick up the double on the Riven as well. So really nice start for me. I got the dragon and a couple of kills as well. Now I'm 3-0-1, can pick up my Blade of the Rune King, doing pretty well, because as Jax, generally, if you want to carry your team, you have to be fed. So anyways, back to my previous point, as Jax, I normally want to go for Rift Herald because Rift Herald will help me push with my already very strong pushing power. But, you know, since the Ezreal is so fed, I chose to go for Dragon instead because Ezreal will be there to, of course, back me up. Although he did back when we wanted to start the Dragon, which is why I kind of did the Skull Crab first before starting the Dragon to give Ezreal time to, you know, show up to the party, so that if anything breaks out, I have a fed Ezreal, you know, to help me out. So here, sweeping for wards. Obviously, as jungle, normally want to take sweeper. Here, the Riven with Yuumi is in the mid lane. Yuumi at this point has given up on the Varus. Can't really say I blame her, but Riven a little bit too close to the tower for me to really do anything. So here, whenever we have downtime, all we do is we're going back to our jungle to farm. Nunu, of course, can spot us here. That doesn't really matter. Here we have Irelia with us. Irelia engages on Nunu. I wait for Nunu's E to go over. I try to leap strike to him. He flashes the wall. I flash to follow, and everybody just collapses on Nunu, and Nunu just dies. So here I'm just going to spend the rest of my time clearing out the red side jungle, taking the Krugs, obviously, and I'm gonna, of course, take the red after that. So we're off to a relatively strong start as Jax. As a matter of fact, my whole team is up to a very strong start. It is 13 kills to 2 at the moment, so pretty much this match at this point should be unlosable unless we just straight up just throw the game in epic fashion. But yeah, at this point my team is so fed. I'm just waiting if the Nunu overcommits. I can back up the Irelia by jumping in, but he doesn't, so instead I'm just gonna recall and pick up some items to build toward my Triforce. So here's Sheen and Phage picked up, and I'm gonna continue on going about my business of course farming the jungle and also trying to just, you know, get towers, get kills, you know, etc. So here Riven going for a Rift Herald play in mid. So here I'm just going mid to defend. Now notice how I'm not just running blindly to the wolves, but I'm actually going to mid to defend the tower. So here we actually could have stopped the Rift Herald charge, but we barely were not able to do so. So Rift Herald does get a charge, and Riven gets 2 plates. Not the end of the world, of course. Ezreal kind of getting, not really getting destroyed, but just getting zoned away. So instead here I'm just going to go for the Skull Crab. Irelia goes in on the Riven, and here we're just heading over to see if we can back her up. Unfortunately, Riven a little bit too mobile, does kill Irelia under the tower before I can reach. I tried to prep the stun, but she was a little bit out of range, so instead here we're just going to kill her with the help of the red buff. So she flashed away, but red buff didn't manage to finish the kill. Even if it didn't, we still have a leap strike to of course reach her, so no real big deal there. So here our last minion just died. I was thinking of backing, but I realized that I can see 3 people, 2 of them are at top, 1 of them is at bot, 1 of them I just killed. So worst case scenario, I'll be up against 1 person. So what do? I'm at max stacks, I'm just gonna push the tower. So here easily picking up the tower before the Varus can respond. Here we have 15 seconds to Herald and 16 seconds to Dragon. So here we have yet another choice of which one we want to go for. Here I pick up the Triforce, so just in time for the objective. My entire team is at the Dragon area, so obviously the most logical move for me is of course to go for the Dragon. Doesn't make sense to go for the Herald when my entire team is at the Dragon area. Although I say that and Irelia goes back mid, Ezreal goes back top, but either way, we're just going to do the Dragon here. First what we're going to do is we're of course going to sweep for enemy vision. No enemy vision in sight, so I'm just going to quickly just go pick up the Dragon. 4 members on my team are here. 1v1 going on in the bot lane in the meantime. Here smite the Dragon to pick it up. Riven a little bit too late. Someone just hit the Squire's Bloom, so we know someone is there and 1 person is in the bot lane. So obviously always keeping track of where my enemies are. So Varus, Riven, and Yuumi are in the mid lane. We still don't know where the Nunu is, and the Zed is dead, of course. So basically the main concern here is Nunu comes in, chomps on the Herald, and smite seals it, which of course is very viable for him to do, but he will die for it, but he can still steal the Herald. So here obviously we're going in. Yuumi manages to escape. I don't know how Varus manages to whiff that ultimate in between the 2 of us, but he did. So here we're setting down the Herald, going for the tier 2 tower in the mid lane. Now obviously my team is there. We have Ezreal and Irelia to pick up the tower in the mid lane, so I don't really need to help out over there. Instead I'm just going to take the enemy red buff, and I'm going to push the enemy top lane while they are busy dealing with the Herald. So Jax, of course, the best, not the best, but one of the best, or perhaps even the best split pusher in the business. So here Varus, the like super duper behind Varus is here. I'm not going to care about him. I'm just going to push the tower, counter strike to counter his auto attacks. I get 3 plates before he kills all the minions, so I'm going to have to back off. I'm taking quite a chunk of damage here. But here I go in, smite, counter strike to avoid the minion damage, and then I'm going to attack the minions to lifesteal back. Varus dodging the piercing arrow, jump, leap strike, and auto attack him for the kill. Now I said outplay potential not really that high on Jax, and that is still true, but of course on any champion you can still outplay. You can even outplay on like a Yuumi or a Soraka or something. So there we outplay the Varus, and here we're back in to the tower to of course pick up the tower. So here we split push the tower, but of course we're gonna have to make our getaway because the entire team is gonna respond to us now that the Herald threat is no longer there. Here I'm trying to pick up the kill on the Ribbon before I go. Here I realize immediately that I'm gonna die. So here all I'm trying to do is see if I can actually do any damage to anybody before I die. I did get an auto attack in on Zed, but it's just gonna be healed by the Yuumi, so it doesn't really matter. So obviously there, one of the risks of split pushing is obviously overextending and getting caught out by the enemy team. So obviously we want to avoid that, but in this case I was a little bit too greedy for the tower, and as a result, or I'm not even greedy for the tower. I think I could have got out with the tower, but I was a little bit greedy for the Ribbon. I could have just ran away after getting the tower and not engage in a battle with the Ribbon, but you know I did do that, and therefore I died to the entire enemy team. So mistakes have been made, but yes. So at this point in time, I've respawned. The game is pretty much unlosable at this point. We have like over a 10k goal lead against the enemy teams. Enemy teams don't have a single tower. They only got one objective, which is the Rift Herald. At this point, I don't even really have to be farming my jungle anymore. In fact, the better use of my time is either to split push or to join my team. But you know, I'm just gonna pick up the buffs at the minimum, because why not? And as a matter of fact, probably Ezreal getting red buff would be better, but I do believe he has a red buff. Not too sure about that, but I think he did have a red buff. But here I'm just going to pick up my buffs, and then here I actually see Riven walking into the river. So here I was actually trying to cut her off for my escape. I hit my sweeper, but it turns out she's not in the pixel brush or not in the mid lane bush as well. So no idea where she went there, but okay, looks like she went back into the bot side jungle. So looks like that was where she was. So here, obviously the best thing I could do is join my team in the fight. So here I'm just going. I prep my counter strike in, kill the Varus, only worth 125 gold at this point, and we pick up a triple onto Yuumi and Riven as well. So here, easily picking up that tower. Of course, Jax takes tower super duper quickly. Here, accidentally walking to the tower a little bit too soon. Darius just flashing at this point. I'm flashing as well because the enemy team has surrendered. So really nice, generally very clean game from us. Of course, a few hiccups here and there, but generally we did good. So here, as you guys can see, brief explanation here. I didn't do the most damage, didn't take the most damage, didn't even get an A. But I think I did a very good job in this match just because of how I split pushed between objectives and farmed up really, really well. So anyways guys, thanks for watching the video and goodbye.